Described by the World Health Organization as an equal way of providing ideal food for the healthy growth and development of infants, exclusive breastfeeding is paramount to the well-being of infants. You are watching NAFDAC and Your Health. I am Susan West Braniff. You may wonder why NAFDAC promotes exclusive breastfeeding. Well, exclusive breastfeeding has enormous benefits, and our package today will inform, educate, and enlighten you on the importance of exclusive breastfeeding. Don't go away. It's NAFDAC and Your Health. The health and well-being of infants is paramount for nurturing future leaders, and this should start with exclusive breastfeeding.
What does this mean when you say exclusive breastfeeding? Basically, it means feeding this young infant only on mother's breast milk, only on breast milk. No other food or drink, not even water. Not even water. We need to make the emphasis on that. Just breast milk, solely breast milk. That's why the word exclusive comes in there. This child, however, is allowed to have oral rehydration salts. They can also have, of course, the drops and syrups. That means they can have their vitamins and minerals as well as the medicines, but nothing else besides the breast milk. So breastfeeding is said to be the universally acclaimed, there's no dispute, unparalleled means of ideal feeding for the infant.
Exclusive breastfeeding has immense benefits for the mother and child.
The first milk, called milk, is yellowish in color and is the colostrum. The colostrum is a liquid comprising of many life benefits. In that liquid, you have so much antibodies that protects the child from the environment, diseases, bacteria, fungal, name it, that child will be protected. It also has a lot of growth factors in them. The growth factors assist the child to adapt to the new environment that he finds himself, different from the mother's womb. The importance cannot be overemphasized. It's the best liquid God has given to a child, and it cannot be thrown away, please. In some cultures, even in Nigeria, when a mother gives birth to a child, they express that colostrum and throw it away. But it's ignorance. Please, our caregivers, make sure a child sucks that colostrum. 30 minutes after birth, the child should be put on the breast to be able to get that colostrum from the mother. And if a child is exclusively breastfed for 6 months, the child will not fall sick. It is from the breast into the mouth. There is no room for contamination by anything outside. The milk is at the right temperature. The milk contains all the nutrients the child needs for that period of the child's life. It has enough nutrients, and 80% of it is water. So the child doesn't need even extra water outside. But there's benefit also for the mother herself. The mother, if she exclusively breastfed her baby, she doesn't stand a chance of getting pregnant within that 6 months. It will be like a control. The hormones that will make her fertile will be depressed by the act of breastfeeding. And it is also economical to her. She doesn't need to use money to buy anything. It will reduce her expenses. It will also reduce her expenses because there's no need for her to go to hospital. Doctor will not chop her money. So her baby will be healthy. And it's also good for the father, because the father now will use the savings in buying baby formula to do other family requirements or family needs.
Now, continuing with the child, there is also, it's said that breastfed infants have a better intelligence quotient. Now, who doesn't want that for their child? For the mothers, it reduces the risk of breast and ovarian cancers. It reduces postpartum hemorrhage. This is blood loss after childbirth. Even postpartum depression.
Exclusive breastfeeding also has environmental and economic benefits.
It is also good for the environment. Why? Because the baby formula things that you use and discard and go and litter the environment will not be there. The environment will be cleaner and healthier and greener. And malaria comes about the littering of the environment with the finished cans of breast milk substitutes of infant formula. By the time you throw the cans away in the dustbin, it will gather water, mosquitoes will breed there, and malaria will spread. That means you're suffering the child two ways. You breastfed the child with unnecessary infant formula, and along the line again, that container for the infant formula was used to breed mosquitoes to come and bite and give you malaria. And it is also good for the government because the burden on our healthcare systems will reduce. Babies will not go to hospital frequently. They will not require care frequently. There wouldn't be admissions. So in a way, it will reduce the expenses on healthcare systems generally.
NAFDAC promotes exclusive breastfeeding by the regulation and control of breast milk substitutes.
The inappropriate and aggressive marketing and promotion of breast milk substitutes by infant food manufacturers, marketers, and distributors has proven to be one of the greatest challenges to exclusive breastfeeding. What are breast milk substitutes? Any food that replaces the breast milk portion of a baby's diet that is marketed or is otherwise represented to be a total or a partial replacement for breast milk is a breast milk substitute. What NAFDAC does to protect and promote exclusive breastfeeding is to monitor and enforce compliance to the provisions of the regulations on marketing of infant and young children foods and other designated products. So any variance, any deviation, anything contrary to what is in those regulations constitutes a violation and attracts appropriate sanctions.
The agency also enforces the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes.
NAFDAC is saddled with the responsibility of making sure that the provisions and articles of the International Code of Marketing Breast Milk Substitute is adhered to in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a signatory to the code. In 1981, there was a world concern by everybody. There was high infant mortality and high infant morbidity. They now try to find out what is the problem. And one of the problems they discovered was poor infant and young child feeding practices. Because of that, the World Health Assembly of 1981 met with all the stakeholders to discuss the problems and to find solutions to it. And what they discovered in their research was that even breastfeeding practices has declined tremendously. And why? Because the aggressive marketing of infant food manufacturers is one of the reasons. And if breastfeeding practices decline, infection rates increases. Because of that, the World Health Assembly now agreed to suppress the marketing, the aggressive marketing of these infant formulas. So the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes has a set of recommendations on how infant food manufacturers to market their products. They shouldn't market it through the normal process of advertisement and marketing of any other products.
The provisions of the code also entails specific labeling requirements. The Federal Ministry of Health has devised several strategies to ensure exclusive breastfeeding.
Why do we really want to promote exclusive breastfeeding? It is because we know that it saves lives. At least 20% of the under 5 deaths that we have in this country can be reduced if we promote exclusive breastfeeding. And so what are the strategies? Number 1 is the code. Number 2 is to make the workplaces baby friendly through the maternity leave. In Nigeria today, the maternity leave is 16 weeks for a woman, and that is to encourage her to breastfeed her child without the interference of work in any case. And then we also talk about the baby-friendly hospital initiative. As part of the baby-friendly hospital initiative is the entrenchment of the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding. Making sure that hospitals have the right policies, that the policy on breastfeeding, having all their workers trained on breastfeeding, giving mothers the right messages around breastfeeding, encouraging women to stay in the same room with their children, and encouraging the early initiation of breastfeeding. That is, that the baby should be put to breast within 30 minutes of birth. In the Federal Ministry of Health, we have the infant and young child feeding policy, and the strategic plan has also been developed around that. We are presently working on the communication strategy.
NAFDAC also partners with WHO, UNICEF, and Save the Children to promote exclusive breastfeeding.
Save the Children International is an international non-governmental organization. We carry out activities in more than 120 countries of the world, and we believe we have a passion to ensure that wherever children are in the world, that children survive. So in 2011-2012, we were able to partner with the Nigerian government, and NAFDAC was one of the MDAs that we needed to partner with in order to make sure that we are able to pay more attention, the Nigerian government is able to pay more attention to the issue of nutrition. We now realize that NAFDAC is a leader when it comes to the issue of exclusive breastfeeding, particularly with respect to BMS, that is a breast milk substitute.
The agency and all stakeholders are intensifying efforts to meet the 50% exclusive breastfeeding global target rate by 2025.
Nigeria is totally off track in terms of exclusive breastfeeding. When we say off track, a country that once had more than 20% in terms of mothers who are exclusively breastfeeding their babies, now dropping to 17 and then to 13. In 2008, NDHS were on 13%. Now by 2013, NDHS will move to 17. But you will agree with me that 17 is very, very far from where we are supposed to be. And we believe that with NAFDAC's leadership, it should be possible for Nigeria to go back, particularly when the world is now thinking of getting to 50% by 2025. So our partnership with NAFDAC will continue, and we believe that NAFDAC is just the right partner to work with as far as this is concerned.
With all its enormous benefits and all the efforts made by NAFDAC and relevant stakeholders, all women are advised to breastfeed exclusively for the first 6 months.
On demand, breastfeed that child. 24 hours, lie with the child on the bed. For the meantime, the father should be patient. It should be rooming in. Child and mother always together. That is the word. And I also want to say something on HIV and AIDS mothers. Some mothers are HIV positive and they are pregnant. They should be given adequate medical attention. So the health caregivers should give them adequate attention from pregnancy. And they should always make sure they put to bed or they give birth in a health facility. After giving birth, the mother should be given an option to choose. Do you want to breastfeed or you don't want to breastfeed? Let the mother decide. If the mother decides to breastfeed, she is supposed to be given maximum support by the caregivers and her family members. But she's expected to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months. If she breastfeeds small, give infant formula small, there is a high chance of transmission of the virus to the child. So she is advised to exclusively breastfeed the child for 6 months, include complementary feeding for another 6 months. So by 1 year, she's expected to stop breastfeeding.
Exclusive breastfeeding is achievable. It is achievable even to working mothers. It is achievable. All the mother needs is the adequate information and support from the society at large. So in the workplace, support from colleagues, from management, support from the healthcare providers, support from family is also very, very, very important. Support from family and friends.
To ensure a great start and future for your child, exclusive breastfeeding is the best practice.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of Made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC as an agency is indeed doing so much to protect the health of our nation. I urge everyone to support NAFDAC in ridding the country of fake drugs and unwholesome products.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.